I couldn't find one radical book in there. There was a section on 9/11 and terrorism. I didn't find any decent books. They're promoting John Pilger, the shill John Pilger, who interviewed Julian Assange, the fake hero and role model. They had all the LGBT books and global warming books, really radical stuff. And outside it is the guy selling the big issue. I'm very suspicious of that publication, the big issue. I don't think they're trying to help the homeless. I think they're run by security services. That's another subject. Yeah, so the point I'm making is that all of the radicalness and the alternativeness and the fringe movement is all controlled and handled. It's very difficult to find any genuine radicals. Not that that's a criticism of Liverpool, it's the same everywhere. Quite a lot of Irish here. A lot of them think I'm Irish. I don't know why. Let's go and find Mark. He's still asleep. What sort of accent do they have in Mansfield, Mark?
Maybe like that. Maybe a bit like that.
We are at Mansfield and Mark is unloading the van. The venue is called The Towers. This is Mark's last venue. He's going back up to Durham. So I've got to do the remaining 6 without him. But we have got help at the others.
40s, please. The stage is going to be going over here.
Yeah. I'm on my way to Norwich. Mark got the train home from Nottingham a couple of days ago, so he's done the first 6 venues, the northern leg. So this is the start of the southern leg now with Norwich. The Brook Hotel. A little bit of a rest. We've done a lot of driving over the last week or so. The Kent shower got down really well. And I'm on my way to Swanley in Kent and this sat-nav. So it's taking me over a ferry on the Thames. So I'm in a queue to get on the ferry. Apparently it's free. Yeah. So here it is. So I'm on the ferry now and it's starting to move. So I'm south of the Thames now and 21 minutes to Swanley. Plumstead, Lewisham, Greenwich, Thamesmead. White love.
Double shit.
Apples and pears, governor. Yeah, a lot of people have asked me why I've not got a venue in London. Well, I've always found London difficult because of the getting to a venue, getting parked, getting the kit in. The Cricklewood one year, that was a nightmare. The Indian YMCA, that was a nightmare. Getting parked and getting the equipment in. So then I got done for congestion charges, 70 quid. So I've always found London really tedious. I mean, I'm not even in London now. Swanley, and it's the bloody traffic jams. So if anyone can find me a venue which seats over 200, preferably around 300, near central London, where I can park my van, and the van to be parked fairly near the entrance to the venue, and I can leave the van while I'm giving the lecture, and for less than 500 quid to hire the venue. There you go. You find me a venue in London, central London, for less than 500 quid, where I've got parking and it'll hold, let's say, 250 plus people seated. You can find me the venue, then I'll put it on next year's tour. But you'll struggle. I'm waiting for Dr. Nick Colostrom because he said he was going to be here early. There's no sign of him yet. Nick's.
You're right. Hi, Nick.
Hello. Yeah. Martin. Hi, Martin.
Nick's just arrived. Hi, Nick.
What's going on, Richard?
Well, we're getting ready for a talk.
Hi, Richard.
This is
Simon.
Hi, Simon.
Simon,
All right.
yeah, send me Simon,
Right.
yeah.
So, who else we got here? Just introduce
I'm
yourself.
Martin from London.
Martin and
Paul from Bexhill.
We've still got tons of dark hair, Richard.
yeah.
Still got tons of dark hair.
Amazing what a bit of what's that stuff?
I
Vision 2000, doesn't it?
Okay.
Beatles book here for sale.
Yeah.
What is it?
So you want to put them on a table? You've only bought 3, 4.
30 books. I thought I'd better not bring my banned by Amazon book, Richard. Breaking the spell.
Oh, it wasn't banned last time I looked. It's been banned, has it?
Oh, well, it might have been unbanned, but it was one of the 100 or so books they banned. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, these are all Holocaust denier books then, are they?
You could call them that, yeah,
Well,
revisionist books, yeah.
Revisionist books.
Yeah.
Tell us what this film is about by David Irving, Nick. Not by David Irving, but about David Irving.
Well, they've got this totally nerdy-looking character playing David Irving, who is quite good-looking.
Timothy Spall, aren't you?
And they've got this quite glamorous woman playing Deborah Lipstadt, who looks like a complete sort of goon type figure. And it's just to, give a Jewish version of the story, basically.
Right. Just give us your thoughts on this, on the Westminster attack, Nick.
Well, Richard, the big question is this another, it is state fabricated terror, is it yet another one without any real deaths? Is it just done by actors, dummies, and a tiny little bit of fake blood? Well, there are dummies around, mainly dummies. Most of the bodies you see on the bridge are dummies, and I doubt if that car drove across the bridge at all. They did position a car smashed up, the front smashed up, in the railings of Westminster, just very much like, you'll remember the Drummerley Ruby story, where you got the front of a car all crumpled up right next to a railing, but the railing was totally undamaged. And so one suspects that a crumpled up car might have been put there with very little damage to the railings. And what I think is the fascinating part of this story, Richard, is the phantom idea of the perpetrator. You see, the perpetrator is never who you think it is. They showed you a picture of the alleged perpetrator. After he'd been shot with 3 bullets, you see him lying down in House of Commons courtyard, right? Mm-hmm. And he's still alive. And he's still alive, no drop of blood anywhere at all. And he's about to be put into an ambulance, so he hasn't been killed. And then they tell you it's a hired car that he hired. Well, if you've got a hired car, you're going to know who hired it, aren't you? The police should be able to find out who hired a hired car pretty soon. And so they give you the ID. Was it Trevor Brooks? Trevor Brooks is who Aberdeen. They immediately tell you he did it. And this is the hate preacher from Hackney. And then, wait a minute, his brother says, no, he's still in jail, it wasn't him. So they have to back down quickly. So the police are in a crisis. They've got this guy lying down there, allegedly dead, the perp. They've released that to all the media, and haven't got the guy they said it was. How can they possibly not know who it is if they got the body and the hired car? So immediately, quick as a flash, they go to Birmingham, and they kill this guy, Masood. What's his name? Masood. And he's a very African-looking fellow. Doesn't look at all like the perp you've seen, the picture of the guy you've seen lying down.
Right, so you reckon that the man who was filmed lying down, being attended to, is not the man that they've blamed it on? And who
he might have been the original guy. He looks very similar to the guy that originally said, doesn't he? The first guy they named as the perp does look very much like the guy lying down, as if they'd done a deal with him. We'll let you out of jail if you know. And that all went wrong. So they quickly went up, got the Masood, broke down his door at 11 o'clock that night, 22nd, 2-3, Skull and Bones number 322, same as the anniversary last year, the big airport, Brussels fake terror event. So that is the date. That same night, they smashed down the door of this Masood guy. So they have to kill him first. He has to be dead before they can announce to the world that he's the perp, okay? So the next morning, 23rd, they announced that he did it.
Right, so his name was never announced as the perp before they raided that house in Birmingham?
Correct,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
It was the door knocked down. Then the next morning, next day, it's in the papers, Masood, this guy Masood, Khalid Masood, is the wicked, evil terrorist. And the trouble is that they put out a statement that he's Asian-looking. Well, this guy's obviously African. Doesn't look remotely like the guy they've originally shown you lying down in the Westminster courtyard, okay? And the neighbours of this guy Masood are all absolutely bewildered. They say, he's a nice, gentle fellow, enjoyed gardening.
Right, Nick, so are there any accounts Are there any accounts of anyone talking to him after the events then?
No, well, that's the key thing. The police had to ascertain that he hadn't been having tea with anyone that afternoon, or if he had, that they wouldn't be talking about it. He obviously has to be dead once this event has happened. So they have to move very quickly to get him as the patsy, and so he's really, really dead, and that might be the only death in this whole story. The state is the killer. The state moves and kills this guy. As with other state fabricated elements we've seen, the patsy might be the only one who really, really dies. The others, you've got details, you've got various dummies, dramatic-looking dummies, like the one under the back of a bus wheel, you know, or people people blown up dummies, immobile, and detailed analysis. You can see they can't be real wounded human beings.
So just run us through again what you think the original plan was then. Were they going to blame this Masood guy originally? Was that the plan? And then
no.
They run through that again.
They released a story that the perpetrator was Asian-looking, middle-aged and Asian-looking. That's what they said. And then he looked just like this first guy they identified. What was his name? Trevor?
Sorry.
Yeah.
But they found
Abu Izzadeen, the first guy. They did look just like that guy.
Right.
And it's as if they'd done a deal. We'd like to know, actually, is he still in jail, or has he been let out, or what? I think it'd be worth finding that out. And he was initially supposed to be the perp, yeah.
Right. So how did they make that mistake of not realising he was still in prison, do you know?
Well, it was some sort of deal they'd made. I guess they hadn't expected his brother to speak up and say, wait a minute, he's still in jail.
Right.
His brother might have got in some trouble saying that.
Right, so they had a guy who looked very much like him, who they used at the scene, who didn't die. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Correct. He didn't die. There's no sign of blood. He's supposed to be lying down a stretcher for 10 minutes, waiting for the ambulance to come.
Right.
There's no drop of blood anywhere. Right. And, as I'm sure you're aware, there are 2 knives on the cobbled courtyard without a drop of blood on them.
So you reckon no perpetrator died during the incident?
Correct.
They were going to blame it on someone who looks like the guy who was used as the perpetrator.
Yeah.
But they later found that he was still in prison, so they've changed it to someone else.
Changed it to someone else.
Right.
Someone else.
Go on.
Who didn't resemble the guy they'd already shown you.
Right.
And so all the neighbours are bewildered. You know, all they know is this guy, nice, quiet, portly gentleman who liked pottering around in his garden, a family man, no sign of advocacy of violence or anything. He's not there anymore. That's all they know. And there's terrific media vilification of him. And let's be aware, when ghastly, dreadful things are said about the alleged perp in a situation like this, there is no one to defend him. There's not going to be any court case in which there's a lawyer for the defendant.
This is my point at an inquest. There probably won't even be a jury, Nick, at the inquest.
No.
So it's just a coroner reading out from his prepared notes, usually.
Yeah, that's all it is. The guy is totally vilified and blackened after his death, when he's not around anymore, and he is the wicked terrorist. So the state tells you who to hate, and then the next day, Theresa May makes something in the House of Commons. This shows us, Islamic terrorism. And so on. So it reinforces the most important function of British citizens. They have to hate and fear the correct enemy, they have to believe in the war, they have to pay taxes for war. That's all the state cares about for its citizens. That's all you really have to do in this culture we're in.
So the point that I raised right at the beginning, Nick, was, well, surely we're going to get to see fairly detailed CCTV with it being on Westminster Bridge and Parliament. There must be dozens of cameras that would have captured.
Gotcha, right, yeah.
So, all I've seen is this distant one where someone seems to fall off the bridge.
It's not even CCTV. It's taken from a hotel in a great distance, and we're told, as usual, no CCTV is available. And the obvious people you'd want to ask are the people on the London Eye, right? That's the big wheel right next to Westminster Bridge, and they'd get a total bird's eye view of the whole thing.
They kept them on there, didn't they, for 2 hours?
Exactly, yeah, 3 hours, nearly 3 hours. They're all suddenly it's immobilised. And the poor people there have to stay there for 3 hours, and then as they come out, they're kind of frisked by the police and no doubt checked by the phones. He's too right. No doubt relieved of any film they got.
Some people have worked out that film from the bridge, from distance, was from Millbank Tower.
Millbank Tower?
Yeah.
Might have been, yeah.
Because that's the only tower which is sort of that height. But
the point is that the traffic in that film we see, the only bit of film, is moving quite slowly, isn't it? quite slow, congested traffic going over that bridge. So if a car did come off it and zoom along the pavement, it couldn't have got that much of a speed, you know. It will be going quite slowly.
So, what do you think really happened to the police officer then? Was he really stabbed? What happened there then?
Some people think that he obviously really died, and there's over £1 million in appeal. All the people that allegedly die on the same day, their Facebook page turns into charity appeal funds for fundraising. There's over £1 million raised for the family of that policeman. So there is big money in that, let's be aware. And what I want to point out is that the pictures you're shown of him allegedly dying, you can't recognise him at all. You don't see his face at all. There's no way you can identify that police officer as the guy's dying. And you know that MP, Foreign Office MP, who's doing that resuscitation.
That's weird.
Well, that's weird, isn't it?
That's a complete photo op, isn't it?
Complete photo op, yeah. Because you've got these qualified emergency staff people that's just standing around, and they're letting this MP
do sort of CPR.
Do CPR
on a stab wound.
On a stab wound.
Exactly.
So, but was his wife interviewed, this police officer, showing that she was very, very upset? I believe she was.
She might have been, yeah. But let's just point out, as our friends point out, that there's no way you'd do that CPR on somebody who's been stabbed, and there's no way emergency. If he was really dying, if it was the real death you're looking at, there's no way emergency staff would just stand around and let some MP do whatever the hell he thought he was doing.
So then you think it's possible that the state have murdered the police officer as well, Andy?
No, I'm not saying that at all. No, I'm not saying. I'm saying you don't have real evidence of him dying.
So you're
I'm not denying.
You're not sure whether he's dead or not. Then that's what you're saying.
Well, I think our view should be that we don't have real evidence of him dying, and if somebody wants to give us real evidence, 6 months later you get a death certificate produced. Okay, 6 months. You can then. That is then a start of. Did he really die? Yeah. Is there going to be an inquest? Is there a coroner's verdict? And so on. We get that all coming out later on.
Yeah.
But I think it's quite feasible to argue that you don't have real deaths in that story. I mean, you don't see any blood from that officer. You don't see his face. You don't see him dead. It's very peculiar if it was really happening.
Right. But you're more certain about the perpetrator in regards that they've switched him after. You're fairly certain of that, what you said earlier.
Oh yeah. I mean, the whole idea that somebody can crash a car and leap out with 2 knives and run around the corner and then run into the House of Commons is totally impossible. That gate's heavily guarded by police who've got guns, armed police. Mm-hmm. I mean, if every time you walk past the House of Commons, there's no way you can just stroll in through a gate like that. It's out of the question.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Nick. I'm back home now in Merthyr Tydfil and got back safe and sound. We've got 4 more venues. Merthyr Tydfil tomorrow night, Chichester, Birmingham, then Plymouth. So I had a bit of a hairy moment on the M4 on the way back. Well, the back part of my exhaust came off on the motorway and the whole thing was being scraped along, so got a bit of wire and just strapped it up. So last night we did Chichester. So we stuck for 3 hours on the M4 and it was a real rush getting set up, but we made it in time. And this hotel that I'm in is obviously for midgets. This is Chris, who's been helping me with the Rich Planet tours now since Mark went home.
A little bit worried, Rich.
You were a little bit worried?
Yeah, because this place we stayed last night, we weren't the only ones to stay here.
What do you mean? So, Chris, you've given yourself a code word.
Yes, I'm known as R2.
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 But you're not at liberty to disclose what that means.
No. What I will say to the Rich Planet viewers is, if you can guess what R2 stands for, send your answers on a postcard to. Well, actually, it's not. It's send an email.